Hi there, this is Ranjit and I have the Xiaomi Mi 3 and the Nexus 5 with me, and in this video we'll be comparing both these devices. Quite a few of you have asked me to compare both these devices, and in fact if you look at the physical hardware, both these devices are very similar, and I have made a list of pointers that I'll talk about because I have used both these devices now and I have a good understanding. So first let's talk about internals. Both these devices are actually very similar. Even the Mi 3 has the same Snapdragon 800 processor, which is a quad core processor. Regarding the GPU, both have the Adreno 330 GPU and the RAM is 2 gigs on both of them. The Mi we get in India is the 16 GB variant. Nexus, the basic version, also is the 16 GB variant, but we get the Nexus in 32 gig variant also. The Mi 3, there is a 64 GB variant available, but as of now that is not available. Another thing to note is that both these devices do not have any external storage like micro SD card slot. So both don't have micro SD card slot. Now moving to the second aspect, that is the physical size. Here I would definitely say that this Nexus 5 has an edge. It sports a 5-inch screen. Even this Mi 3 has a 5-inch screen, but if you notice, if I place them side by side, the Mi 3 is definitely a longer device compared to the Nexus, and it's also slightly wider. So with the single hand operations, I would say this Nexus 5 has an edge because it easily fits in your hand easily, whereas I would say the Mi 3 is slightly bigger. Now coming to the next part is the speakers. Both of these have mono speakers, and even the Mi 3 has a mono speaker over here, but I felt that in terms of loudness, the Mi 3 speaker is better compared to the Nexus 5. The Nexus 5 speaker is very tiny in my opinion. And now if we move to the camera, the Nexus 5 has a 8 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization, whereas this Mi 3 has a 13 megapixel camera with dual LED flash. And I would definitely say that when it comes to camera, definitely the Mi 3 has an edge because the pictures that you can take with the Mi 3 are better compared to the pictures that you get with the Nexus 5. But when we talk about the video, both of these can record video in 1080p, that's full HD. I felt that the Nexus 5 had a slight edge in terms of video due to that OIS. Also in very low lighting conditions, the Nexus 5 has a slight edge over the Mi 3. But definitely in camera department, I would give the vote to the Mi 3. Now if we move to the call quality, here I would say both have decent earpiece, but again the Mi 3 has slightly better call quality. It's not to say that the Nexus 5 call quality is bad, but if I have to rate the call quality on the Nexus, I would rate it about 8.25 out of 10, whereas the Mi 3 I would rate it 9 out of 10. Next, the most important part is the battery on these devices. Both have a sealed battery that is not user replaceable, and the Nexus 5 has a 2300 milliamp hour battery, whereas this Mi 3 has a 3050 milliamp hour battery, and definitely the battery life on the Mi 3 is much better. With my normal usage scenarios, as I've told you, I've used both these devices, I can easily get about 1.5 days worth of battery life on the Mi 3. But whereas on the Nexus 5, by the evening, I would say around 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, I'm down to about 15%. So you have to definitely charge the Nexus 5 every day. And I feel one of the major cons with the Nexus 5 is the very average battery life. But one advantage that this Nexus 5 has is that it supports wireless Qi charging, whereas this Mi 3 does not support that. I actually love the Qi charging on this Nexus 5. I just place it on the Qi charger and it charges. Next, when we talk about the user interface, here things differ a lot. Though both of them run Android, the user interface on this Mi 3 is very different. They use a custom UI called Mi UI, which actually looks very similar to iOS rather than Android. Yes, you do have support for widgets, etc., and we have Play Store and all the Google apps. They work, but the user interface is very different. Whereas on the Nexus, it's a very stock Android experience that you're familiar with. So again, it's a personal preference, I would say, regarding the user interface. But in terms of navigation and lagginess, both of these devices are excellent, and I did not face any issues of lagginess on both these devices. One place where the Nexus definitely has an edge is that as it's a Nexus device by Google, this will get the latest Android updates very soon. In fact, I'm running the Android L on my Nexus 5. So definitely if you are a person who wants the latest Android updates fastest, then definitely the Nexus 5 is for you. Next, if we move to the pricing, here is a big difference, I would say. Both these devices are available in India, and this Mi 3 is being sold via Flipkart for 14,000 rupees, whereas the Nexus 5 is sold anywhere around 26 to 27,000. So as you can see, there is a big price difference between both these devices. And now lastly, coming to some of the heating issues that I've faced with this device, as I've used both these devices extensively now, I would say that in day-to-day usage, the Nexus bag does tend to get warm a little bit more compared to the Mi 3. I wouldn't say it's getting very hot, but it does tend to get a little bit more warmer compared to the Mi 3. But one place where I noticed that both these devices do get a little bit heated up is if you do extended gaming, both these devices do get heated up a little bit. But again, I noticed that the Nexus 5 does tend to heat up a little bit more compared to the Mi 3. Now to summarize, I'll just talk about the pros and cons of these devices. I would say if physical size, the Nexus 5 definitely wins in my opinion, and also for Android updates, the Nexus 5 is a better choice. When it comes to pricing and if you're on a tight budget, then definitely the Xiaomi Mi 3 wins. And also in the camera department, I would say the Mi 3 overall is a better device. Also, the battery life on this Mi 3 is excellent, and with normal usage, you can easily get 1.5 days worth of battery life on the Mi 3, which is not the case with the Nexus 5. And coming to some of the cons, as I mentioned, the Nexus 5 biggest con would be the battery life and the average camera. Also, both these devices don't have micro SD card slot. So these are some of the major differences between this Mi 3 and the Nexus 5, and I hope that this video is helpful for you to make a right decision, which is a better device for you. I've already made several videos on both these devices. Link for those videos will be in the show notes, so do check them out. And if you found this video helpful, I'll appreciate if you can click the like button, and if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to the same. Thank you for watching this video. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video.